Welcome into another episode of the Clapp Trap. We are back for another Sunday review, or weekend review, I guess is how we're going to be doing this one. I brought Mac back onto the show to talk everything about the football weekend. We did our gambling picks as well. We're going to go over those throughout, but I do got to get into the Patriots first. But before we do that, as always, it's good to have you back on, Matt. I think that we're both having an interesting weekend from the gambling perspective. So how are you doing overall? And thank you for coming back on.
Thanks for having me. I think, the gambling picks speak for themselves. I'm 4-6, so not exactly a rugged start, but that's not something I can't come back from. I told people 2 weeks ago, if you want the square play, you want someone to fade, I'm your guy. So I'm holding the form. You'd be a winning gambler if you faded me. And fantasy too. I mean, my fantasy team is. I'm full. I won't get into it.
Well, hey, maybe we will for a little bit. We'll do a little bit of fantasy talk, a little bit of gambling talk later on in the show. But as I said, I wanted to start off with the Patriots. Obviously, a big win for them coming back after losing to Miami. It was a battle of a game, as we all knew it would be. These are two teams that haven't really figured out their offense. I don't even know if the Steelers can be considered to have a good or consistent offense with Trubisky behind the helm. They have great receivers. Obviously, Najee Harris is good. We saw him doing some stuff today, but not overall being that great. Obviously, he had a little bit of an injury going on, so that was tough. Were you surprised that the Patriots were able to kind of pull this one out? I know that you weren't as high on the Patriots this year as a lot of fans aren't at this point. Were you surprised by them being able to pull it out, or did you think this is the kind of way that this game was going to go?
No, this is the type of slug, slug, whatever you want to call it. It was a boring game. I might have caught 5 minutes of sleep sometime in the third quarter, just out of pure boredom. But no, I mean, it was funny because you see, the Steelers come off this win over Cincinnati. It's like, oh man, and the Patriots looked like they did, but Vegas had it differently. Vegas looked at this thing and all the sharps put their money on the Pats. And the Pats, I guess, they did what they needed to do to win the game. I honestly can't sit there and say they did anything great. There's nothing that really stands out. Everything was sort of pedestrian down the road, but they made the plays they had to make. They're very fortunate they didn't give up a safety in their first drive when they're taking that punt. But Mac Jones looked okay. Everyone looked okay. Aguilar was a standout to me, but besides that, everything was pretty dang pedestrian.
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting moments throughout the game, and it could have been a heck of a lot different, which I do want to get into that. But it was, first of all, just a quick note to start off. It was actually just nice to see them in their road whites on the road for once. I know that we played against the Dolphins, and I know that they do that whole gamesmanship thing where they want to wear white at home because of the heat and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of stupid to me. I don't know. I don't like any of that stuff. So it was nice to see them in their road whites. To start off, was happy about that. But yeah, they got away with a lot of stuff in this one. There was a couple of pretty clear false starts in the beginning of the game by Trent Brown, just jumping way off sides.
I don't know where that man's head's at. He got called at least once for one of them. But in general, you're right. Generally speaking, that man is just he's a half second before the play on all plays.
I mean, it started to get better towards the end of the game when they started to get, I don't know if it was because his confidence got better because he saw that we could actually win the game. So he was involved all of a sudden. Maybe he just doesn't start off with that good attitude. But yeah, they got away with a couple that didn't get called. And then he did get called for a couple of the other ones there. One that he got away with early didn't really matter. Another one actually was in the middle of their scoring drive. So that was kind of a big moment for the team to just not get the call there. But I don't know what his deal is. We obviously got to get the offensive line rolling for an entire game. You can't just show up in the second half and hope that you're actually going to be good enough for the team. So I don't know. That was interesting. But also, like you said, they got really lucky with that Miles Bryant play, which I've been ragging on him these last couple of episodes because last year I loved him as the quirky little side role player guy who got in for a couple of slot roles on the defense and maybe could go out there and return a couple of kicks here and there. But he has looked completely lost at times in these first two games here, especially that punt return, obviously losing that one. Luckily, it goes back into the end zone and it's called a touchback, but I was ready to bench him for the rest of the game at that moment right there. He has been wildly inconsistent to me. Yeah, that was a tough moment, I thought too.
What I don't understand is that, I mean, this seems, three phases of the game, right? It's how it's always been. Their special teams were awful last year. They're looking like they're looking this year. Was Joe Judge not your special teams coach? So instead of, shoehorning him in to whatever freaking role that they're shoehorning him into, have him coach special teams. They clearly need it. Like, how about you do the things that you've actually, your bread and butter, the things that you've done well for in the past? I mean, whatever. I could go on. I could take up your entire podcast whenever this airs. I could take up your entire window talking about my frustrations with the team. Not even about the dang game. That, hey, they won. It's so 1-1 feels okay. It feels like the season's not lost, which I'm happy about.
Winning is always a good remedy for everything going on. Obviously, 2 road games to start off, and now you'll get your home opener against a really tough Ravens team, regardless of how they just ended up against the Dolphins. That was quite the ending, which we'll get into that one as well. But it is good to be at 1-1 after the start that you had against the Dolphins, and how awful the offense looked, only scoring 7 points and everything like that. But like you said, it seemed like Aguilar finally stepped it up. He was obviously great in this one. He had that insane, almost Moss-like catch over for the touchdown in that first scoring drive. That was a great catch. Maybe a ball that was kind of underthrown by Mac a little bit, but obviously he went back and got it, and that's all you need to do. So happy that he was able to get that 50-50 ball. Him and Myers were working great, not only early in the game, but throughout the entire game. Myers ended up with 95 yards, Aguilar with 110 and that huge touchdown. So it was nice to see the 2 wide receivers involved. I was still surprised that Kendrick Bourne is still not getting much play, though. I don't know if you were as surprised with all of that. I'm not sure if it's more surprising that Aguilar is doing so good or that Kendrick Bourne has literally no role at this point. What do you think?
I mean, he hasn't gotten any consistency, right? I mean, ever since, that little tiff with the Carolina Panthers during their joint practices, he's been benched. He's been losing minutes. So it's not that there's no chemistry with him and Mac. I think him and Mac looked real good together last year. Oh, yeah. I thought Kendrick was probably going to be the number 1 this year for Mac Jones in this offense. But he's just not getting a consistent amount of plays. I don't even know, what was his snap count today. Do you know? He wasn't in there every play.
No, I don't know the snap count yet. I don't know if they have those out yet. I definitely will look at it, and we'll break that down in later shows this week. But I do know that he only had the 2 targets on the day. So, I mean, you're not really getting the ball thrown to you. He did make a couple of catches, but, he was a no-show. And I know that it's coming from not only that whole missing the practice or missing the meeting thing, which I think is BS, and that's on the coaching staff. I'm also pissed about the stuff that I'm hearing that he's just not trying as hard in practice because he's got like an attitude problem and everything like that. I get that the coaching thing is stupid. I think that Patricia having way too much power and being able to bench a player because he was a little bit late to your meeting is ridiculous. But if you're also, as Kendrick Bourne, going to take that and have a sour attitude and then not try and practice, then yeah, you're not going to get the reps anyways. I mean, Mac Jones came out and talked about it. I thought it was really telling when he said, he needs to take advantage of any rep that he gets, whether it's in practice or in a game, because if you're not going to do that, regardless of how stupid the coach is for trying to bench you over something silly like that, you're still not going to get the role that you want to because you're clearly not working for it. So I don't know. I'm pissed off. It's true.
Sides. And you're seeing him develop that better chemistry like Jacoby and Aguilar today. I mean, we'll see if that's consistent. There's never really been a consistent flow with Aguilar, but his times, it doesn't seem like it's come and gone, but there's sort of a window. And Bourne's only guaranteed 2 years. I'd imagine. I don't think they signed him for anything larger. So I mean, if it isn't produced this year, I mean, they're obviously going to cut him. They're not going to hold on to him at whatever salary he's at, even if it is team friendly.
Yeah, which I love that, but it's just unfortunate because like you said, I think that he was obviously a huge part of the offense last year. He got that chemistry with Mac, and so now it's just kind of like a put up or shut up kind of thing. Just put in the time and effort in practice, regardless of how much of an idiot your offensive coordinator is or whatever you want to call him at Patricia and doing his things. You still have to show up. That's the end of the day. It doesn't matter the a-holes in your life. You still have to show up and produce. I'm just saying that's got to be how it is. But there's another receiver too that's just completely off the page with Mac Jones and Devontae Parker, who we thought was going to come over and take over maybe that number 1 role. Maybe that was the start of the reason that Bourne was pissed off in the first place, because you bring in a player like that. Now he's thinking, oh, is this guy going to be in my role? That's what we thought in the offseason. but they can't get on the same page to save their life. Him and Mac Jones. There was a play late in the game, a 3rd and 5, where it looked like Devontae Parker was just running as if he thought it was going to be a fade. They even called it out on the broadcast, and Mac Jones was looking for a back shoulder, and he was very late to it. They were just completely off the same page the entire game. And I'm now looking at the stats for Parker. He only had the 2 targets, no catches. Now through 2 games, he's been an absolute no-show. Is that looking to you like a complete bust of a pickup at this point, or do you think that he'll be able to develop some kind of chemistry down the road?
I don't want to call it a complete bust because, I wonder how much of this is like, so I'm not enough of an X and O's guy to sit there and tell you this is the old offense installed. This is the new installment of the Shanahan type offense. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like they're running anything like super like new school or they're trying to run an offense that'll just move the ball down the field. And, maybe that whole, they're straddling the line, or they spent the entire offseason working on one offense and then they didn't even install it for the season. Maybe that's the reason some of these guys aren't clicking. I mean, because if you didn't pick up if you don't know last year's playbook, I mean, you're SOL, right? I mean, So these guys that came in this year, like Devontae Parker, they learned this whole Shanahan style. And when that gets thrown out the window, you don't know where you're supposed to be going. You don't know these plays. So, if he's zigging, Mac Jones is zagging, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, that's you're going to throw a lot of people off when you try and change things up, or terminology, whatever you want to say that was changed for this offense. That's obviously going to create problems. And then it's obviously a new receiver with the quarterback working for the first time. So, they got to get their reps in. But man, I just haven't liked the way that it's looked so far. And it didn't end up really shooting us in the foot today, but in the future, we're going to need to have those weapons on point with Mac to be able to go against, especially some of these better offenses, like I said, against even the Ravens, as we're going to go and play them next week. So at home, we'll see how that goes. But the offense,
17 points a game is not going to win you a lot in this league. And you're not going to hold someone like Baltimore, or a lot of teams really, to 14 points. I mean, that Baltimore game was wild. I mean, there's just too much high flying offense in this league for you to be able to, you're not going to win 17-14 on a weekly basis. It's not happening.
Yep. No, that's a big part of it. And the defense is starting to go away in this generation. And obviously, the high flying offenses are crazy right now, but even the 17 points, you want to talk about the 17 points for the Patriots, could have been a completely different ball game if in that third quarter, there was that pass from Mac Jones that should have been an easy interception for the Steelers. I think it was Sutton or whoever dropped a bunny of a pass right into his chest. That should have been completely changed the entire game. At that point, you're up 10-6. Instead, that happens. And then right after that, our old friend Gunnar Olszewski takes one off the face and gives you the ball right back on the punt return. So 2 extremely lucky plays within a couple of plays of each other there that could have completely changed the whole momentum of the game if you had that interception that was very easy, or, Gunnar Olszewski doesn't muff that punt, because 3 plays later, you're in the end zone with Damian Harris busting it up the middle. So great job by them to be able to finish that off when the other team makes a mistake. That could have been so much worse for the team, though. You know what I mean?
You take that off the board. It's 10 points. You take that off the board. So you're talking about a combined 17 in 2-week period. And I'm not gonna remove the points from them. I mean, they scored the points. Damian Harris put the ball in the end zone. But this offense is lackluster. There's no big play opportunities. You're not scared of them. Like if you look at the Buffalo Kansas City playoff game last year, right? Like you can move the ball 50 yards to get in field goal range inside of 14 seconds. Hell no. Unless Nelson Aguilar wants to moss people on a daily basis, you are not moving the ball like that. I mean, that was a great catch, though. I still can't get over it.
Oh, yeah. Great catch. And that's what they were trying to bring in, some receivers that could win the 50-50 balls. And that's one of them right there for you. We thought that Devontae Parker would also be that type of guy. So we'll see if he can change everything up. But I don't know.
That was like a 595 ball. Like that ball should have been picked and taken back for a good 30 yards at least. And she stopped short, jumped. Like that was awesome. I mean, that's going to be one of those AWS stat trackers where it's like with a 0.9% chance of completion, and Nelson Aguilar is just going to
Yep. Hey, whatever works. It doesn't have to be pretty at the end of the day. And I don't suspect much will be pretty this season with this Patriots team. It's going to be a knockdown, drag out battle with every single game. If you're a Patriots fan that doesn't understand that yet, I don't know what you're looking at. This team is going to be clawing for every single point, every single situation. But the offense was one thing. The defense was a whole other. Now, I know, obviously, once again, we're going against a Steelers team that only has Mitch Trubisky behind center. And then you also have Najee Harris that was pretty banged up going into the game. So I know that that's obviously a huge part of their offense. But I would say that the defense did kind of have some bright spots throughout. I think Dietrich Wise was flying all over the field. You heard his name called multiple times, not only in the first half, but also throughout the rest of the game. Yeah, and Matthew Judon stepping up and playing really well in this one, including a nice sack. He had a one possession where for the Steelers where he was in on both the first two tackles, and then he was the pass defender on the third down play, which, I mean, if we're being honest, we're going back to it, it probably could have been called for pass interference because he made no attempts to look back for the ball. He just ran right through the receiver, but whatever. If they're not going to call it, they're not going to call it. So he actually got to step up. That was good. He didn't really do much in game one. He had that sack, so it was good to see him kind of step up. It was nice to see something from Jabril Peppers. He stood out at different times, making some great tackles as well. Christian Barmore finally showed up, and he got a sack in there. So I was happy to see that the defense was starting to wake up, even though it was against a lackluster offense. Did you see that, or did you feel like it was starting to come together as a unit? Are you still worried about the defensive side of things? I feel like that's got to be our better or stronger side right now, obviously.
I'll tell you, going into this game, my worry was Mitch Trubisky's feet, and not like I'm thinking he's going to scramble for 60, 70 yards total in the game, which he actually did when he was playing in Chicago, and they played that game against the Patriots was pretty memorable for a lot of different reasons. But my worry was that he's gonna be able to scramble, he's gonna have time, he's gonna be able to find one of the great receivers. Pittsburgh always has great receivers. He's gonna be able to find someone or find Freiermuth over the middle. I'll tell you, I mean, the front did a good job keeping him in check. I mean, he got happy feet a little bit. He was moving left to right. He was dodging a couple of attacks by the front, but overall, I mean, they kept him in check. He wasn't able to really, shake these guys and actually, and make plays happen with his feet, which I was happy for, because you hate to see a pedestrian quarterback like Mitch Trubisky, beat you with his feet. Because what are we talking about here? This guy? But no, I mean, that was the biggest thing I was almost like fearing going in. But no, this defense, held them to 14 points again. Like if they can do, they're not going to be able to do this on a weekly basis, put it that way. But I liked what they put together today, and hopefully they can build some momentum off of it and keep it going in some way. They got to force some turnovers and get some points off the turnovers too. I don't count the special teams one. That's kind of whatever, but we'll see how this team develops. And I'm 1-1. I'm happy with at least.
Well, you made a good point, though. The turnover battle is what seems to be really what's going to change the game, obviously, for this team. If we can hold on to the ball, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier. I know that's an obvious answer to a lot of football teams' questions. Just hold on to the ball, you'll be better. But obviously, you gave up a ton of turnovers in game one against Miami. That ends up shooting you in the foot. You can't come back from something like that, and you lose even though you didn't give up a ton of points. The defense only gave up 13 points. You still lose based off of turnovers for that. This time, you win the turnover battle against the Steelers here. Even though, once again, it's not that good of an offense, you just got to do what you're supposed to do. Do your job, the whole Patriot method. Don't give up the ball. Work on getting more turnovers. That's going to be the only way that this team is going to be able to do anything this season, obviously. You hope that the offense can start to come together a little bit more, gel a little bit more. The defense is going to hold things together. And I don't know. Again, Miles Bryant, I think, needs less and less playing time on this team. It's ridiculous. I loved him so much last year. I don't care what anyone says about the fact that he led the team in tackles today. I thought he was exposed once again in multiple situations. So I don't know. He's at the top of my crap list right now for this team, just based on what I've seen so far from him. But there have obviously been a lot of other games.
A lot of them. They're asking a lot of him, man. That's a tough role for him to be filling in this year, though. I'll be honest.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I like him when he's in a very small role. He was a, backup slot cornerback and kick returner type. Now you do things like you move Jonathan Jones from the slot role to an outside role, and all of a sudden Miles Bryant has to fill in for that. You got Jones and Marcus Jones there, the new cornerbacks that are coming in, but they're not really trusting them yet. Maybe you would think that they'd be able to fill in for Miles Bryant. I guess they're just not getting the trust so far. So yeah, right now it sucks because they don't have anyone else to fill that role. They need somebody to be able to step up in that, bring Miles Bryant's role back down to what it should be, and then he could be an okay player.
If only they had a shutdown corner or a second shutdown corner from the past couple of years that they did.
Oh wait, but let me ask you: would he be even been in either of these two first games if they did have him? No, he's been injured.
Well, I guess he got injured because so if he got injured there, he would have gotten injured here.
Well, I'm just saying. Hey, he hasn't played yet, so I don't know. I can't wait for him to start playing though and get exposed over there in that crazy division with a bunch of great offenses right in his face.
Well, I think Denver's pretty much showing its true colors real quick. I don't think Denver, and then there's Vegas too. I thought Vegas was going to be great under McDaniels, and I mean now they're 0-2. I mean,
they're doing good. They're scoring though, at least from an offensive side of things. They're doing good. What was that ending score for the Cardinals versus them? That was it was like 29-23.
Yeah.
So I mean, they are what they are. And they only scored 19 in the first game against those Chargers.
That defense is a sieve, though. I mean, did you see the way that Kyler? I mean, they got helped out on that. Was it a fourth down penalty? And then they got to 4th and goal again to end the game, and they scored the 2-point conversion, and they lost the ball after getting possession in the overtime, and then. That return was pretty sweet. I thought he might have flipped the ball in the air before he crossed the line. I was like,
If you can imagine, we get one of those like every 3 to 5 years in the NFL. It's crazy that somebody always does that. You just don't understand that you need to go all the way into the end zone before you start celebrating. It's kind of crazy.
I thought Aguilar did it today too. I got scared on that one. I was like, no, he's gonna get over the line.
But yeah, no, that was a great game. The Cardinals, obviously, I also had Cardinals plus 5.5, so I was very happy about that one at the end. So that one worked out. I did have some pretty tough beats overall, though. Like I said, I had Ravens in this one minus 3.5, and you had a 21-point lead going into the fourth quarter. I mean, what am I supposed to do with that one? That was brutal. So some other crazy games and things did happen, though. I thought it was funny also just starting off the day. I'm a big red zone guy. I don't know about you. I know that you kind of do like the NFL package and kind of, hone in on games sometimes and things like that. I think a lot of people like red zone. So for all my red zone people out there, it was crazy when it started off the day. And before we could even get to the Octo box, you had Mr. Duvernay from the Ravens returning a kick for a touchdown, which you also just never see anymore. Who returns kicks for touchdowns? That was a pretty wild way to start.
Only guys that are sitting on my fantasy bench. That's who.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's why they do it, because they got to step up when they're on your bench there. But that was a crazy moment to kind of start off the day. You had some goofy moments throughout in the I don't know if you were watching or heard this at this point, but during the Rams-Falcons game, at one point, one of the broadcasters said, whoever was doing the play-by-play or the color commentary, I think, said something to the effect of that player went quicker than a teenager clearing his browsing history. Which I was like, what a comment that was made. That was an interesting one, right?
You get to use in private. I don't know why you don't have to clear your history anymore. Just go ghost mode.
Yeah, geez, come on, teenagers, figure it out. But I thought that was a little bit of a towing the line of an interesting comment from a broadcaster on a national TV station. But hey,
and he's gone. He's fired.
You got to do what you got to do to keep it interesting. The other interesting thing that happened was your boy Tom Brady. Now you are the show's number one Brady Bobo, as you've called yourself. You're also the number one Belichick, not hater, but denouncer.
No, you can say hater. That's fine.
Yeah, all right, that's fair.
But that would be accurate.
That Buccaneers game, some crazy stuff ended up happening in that one. I do got to get your thoughts on how you feel that Brady and the Bucs and that whole situation has been going, but. At a big moment in this game, I want to go straight to the whole fight situation. You had Brady toss a ball down the sidelines. He thinks that the player should have gotten a pass interference call. He's going and yelling at the ref, saying that he should have got the call. It looked like Marcus Lattimore's walking back past him, and throws his hand in the air, something like, yeah, whatever, Brady, don't like stop complaining about it. Brady immediately whips around like he's never been this mad in his entire life, starts calling him the B word. He's calling him whatever to get Lattimore going. Lattimore comes back and turns towards him. And I did find it funny how Brady was that typical guy who he knows that his boys are all right behind him that are going to take his back. So he can yap all he wants like the big dog. And then all of a sudden, all of his boys come flying in. You see Mike Evans come out of nowhere and deliver an absolute truck stick to Marcus Lattimore because he just hates him anyways. But what did you think of that whole situation, that game? And how are you feeling about your team and the Bucs and your quarterback and Tom Brady going right now?
It's different, right? Because you don't see Brady get rattled like this. You don't see like this type of fighting, but you also in 3 seasons have not seen Brady beat the Saints. So I mean his first half is garbage. I mean, they got the win. I mean, I'll say they toughed it out. They got the win. Of course, I fell into the public. I might have taken the Saints +3 because I got a little bit crazy. But, the only time I'll ever bet against Brady, and here we are. So shame on me. But no, I mean, honestly, I'm gonna watch some more of the footage. I wasn't one of the games I was super glued into today. I had my 4, so you sit there and you poo on the red zone, but or on my direct TV package. But you can get 4 games going at one time. The audio gets a little quirky. But no, this is I have to watch some of the fight scene again. But I'm pretty pumped to get into the finer details and tell you why Brady was right and whatever happened. I'm sure he was.
Oh yeah, no, he was doing the typical I'm tough because I have all my boys right here move, which it's fine and I get it. And you end up getting Marcus Lattimore kicked out of the game, one of their better defensive players, definitely their best defensive back probably in the game. Then you go on that next possession for Brady and you immediately throw a big touchdown pass. So it worked out for him at the end. He lost out on Mike Evans, but he gained the ability to go against that defense a little bit easier. So good on Brady, gamesmanship and all of that kind of stuff. But he was 100% just doing the thing where it's like, I know I have my boys here to get my back and get in this fight for me. I'm going to talk all this crap right now and get Marcus Lattimore going. And it worked. So great on him, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of.
Man brought you 6 titles. I don't know why you're always so bitter against him. Man brought you 6 titles.
I'm just right now. I got to combat all the negativity that you throw towards the Patriots. So I go a little bit against Brady. I just think that I would have called him out for that either way too. If he had done that on the Patriots, great on him. But also, you're acting like you're some big tough guy when in reality, you were never going to have to fight anyone. That's just everybody would have been in that same situation. I would call him out either way. But it was, some crazy games going on. You had the Dolphins come back against the Ravens. We already kind of talked about that. Tua having the absolute game of his career. They're now 2-0 in the division. You had the Jets somehow coming back against the Browns. I don't know how the Browns, even with Jacoby Brissett, I don't know how you let the Jets score 31 points on you with that defense led by Myles Garrett. Which game would you say was the crazier comeback? And also, do you feel like the Dolphins are legit in any way, or do you think that they just kind of got lucky today?
Oh, nerds are taking over, right? They get what's Cameron? What's the coach's name?
Oh, I don't. So yeah, but he's the biggest nerd on the planet right now. I forget his name.
Dolphins coach. Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel.
I don't know what his name is.
Yeah, I mean, nerds taking over. I mean, listen,
could they be the
AFC East champions? Is this who's going to take the division crown this year? No, I mean, that was a hell of a comeback. I mean, listen, they've put together a decent program. I mean, everyone that I was watching after this week was saying after last week, the Dolphins didn't play too well, and they still obviously beat the Patriots. But you see this team mid-season, towards the end of the season, watch out. I mean, and look, they're playing all right. Tua's made to be looking like a god right now. So I can't wait to see them and the Bills, fight for the division.
Well, when you got receivers like that, Waddle obviously turning into a beast, improving off his season last year.
That touchdown dance. I love it. It's so good.
It's between that and the gritty from Justin Jefferson's got to be the 2 best dances right now going for touchdown dances. I can't think of any other that are better, but that was a heck of a game for them. I think it was much more impressive what the Dolphins did versus what the Jets did, because I think that the Browns just completely Browns themselves and let them back into it. So Yeah, good on the Dolphins for being able to do that. Obviously, like I said, when you have Tyreek Hill and you have that scumbag Tyreek Hill and you have Jalen Waddle, that's going to be really good for your team to be able to go, even though I thought that the Ravens were better than that. And I thought that they would be able to hold on to a 21-point lead going into the fourth quarter. But what do I know, I guess, even though I picked them to win the Super Bowl, to be honest with you. That's
the Ravens?
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
And a contract? What, you going with that Joe Flacco magic? You think what's his name?
Lamar Jackson's going to really go for the gusto.
Jackson's going to do the same. You think he's going to do the same thing as Joe Flacco?
I think they look real good. I think they look real good on offense. He looks really good right now. We'll see what that defense turns out to be, but I thought the defense would be better than it has been so far.
They're going to come in here. They're going to come in here Sunday and torch the Patriots. I can't wait. It's going to be a damn bloodbath.
Here we go. So, I mean, that does bring us to some predictions for next week. That's a good time to look into that. You obviously think that it's going to be a big thing. I think obviously the main focus is going to be containing Lamar Jackson as much as possible. You try and make the guy throw. That's the obvious, strategy. Can you do it most of the time? Probably not. So do you think that this is just going to be, they're going to run up the score on the Patriots? Do you think that the Patriots have a chance to even be in this game against the Ravens, seeing how they were this week? Their defense looked pretty soft. I know that the Dolphins have some great weapons, but their defense looked soft, letting them get back in. Do you think the Patriots have any shot against the Ravens?
I mean, it's tough because they schemed up well for them last year, and they won that game. It was last season, right? The Sunday night game. They beat them. It was like some rain, a little bit of conditions, which seemed to be the only way the Patriots won a big game last year. But I mean, maybe. Well, I mean, the thing is, the Ravens are gonna get their big plays. You can't stop it. The Patriots are not able to play from behind by more than a score at best. I don't see them being able to keep pace. Honestly, I think it's different than last year. I don't think they can really game plan for it. I mean, the Ravens are down receivers, but still explosive enough to play well. So no, I mean, I'd be interested to see what the line's going to be, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be an interesting one. Yeah, I think that if you can keep this team, this Lamar Jackson led offense, to as close to 20 points as possible, maybe you can be in this game. Maybe you can find a way. You got to muck things up, obviously. I think the run game is going to be huge for the Patriots. You're going to have to control the clock. You're going to have that offensive line knocking on all cylinders. And so, I don't know. It's going to be really tough to be able to beat a team like that. But what I kept saying was, if you start off the season 2-2, you're not in a bad spot. So if you end up losing to the Ravens, but you somehow beat a team like the Green Bay Packers that has looked a little crappy, though I'm watching them right now. They are up 10-7 on the Bears right now. So I don't know. Maybe they're going to start pulling things out. Also, I have the over in that game, 41.5. So that'll be my last pick of the day. We'll see how it looks.
So little look ahead line for you. The Patriots are +3 against the Ravens at home. So I don't know. I will see how that line moves. I think right now, buy on the Ravens -3. We'll see how that goes. But that's so Vegas tells you it's not going to be as big of a blowout as I might think. But cash all your chips, put them into Baltimore -3 right now.
Yeah, that might be the way to do it. Do you think that? I mean, is that going to be a way that you're going to go with your betting? I know that you've been doing, and we could talk about the bets for a little bit here. I know that you've been doing mostly team totals at this point. Didn't really work out that good for you today. Do you think you're going to stick with that strategy going forward, or what are you thinking now that you saw today's slate?
I don't know. I mean, now I can't overreact to one game. I can overreact to 2 games. So we'll see how my betting changes at that point. But I don't know. I guarantee you this line moves it's going to start getting towards like -4, -4.5, -5 maybe for Baltimore. So you're going to see that movement. So it's tough because you don't take our picks until Friday. So there's going to be some movement. I'm not going to be able to take advantage of it publicly. I might have to take advantage of it right now behind the scenes.
Listen, if you get the pick anytime in the week, I'm saying this, you can put that out as your pick. Whenever you get it, just give me the picks. I'm fine with that. So you go in right now. You take those picks if you want to right now. That's fine by me. Whenever you put them in, you put them in. Obviously, you're betting on them. You just got to give it out to the public. I'll try and give it out as quickly as possible for everybody.
I just want to rush to be 2-3 again. I'm just going to as fast as I can.
Just go as good as you can there. Were there any bets that you were kind of, really in on today that you thought that could go one way or the other? Were there any that you were sweating out at all? I know I had mine with the Ravens, like I said, up 21 points going into the fourth quarter I had them at -3.5. That was ridiculous. I also had the Cardinals game, which they were down 20-0 at halftime and then outscored them 29-3 the rest of the way for me to be able to cover. That was a great one there. Did you have any that you were kind of sweating out or anything like that?
That Lions Commanders game, I went a little heavier than I did with my other picks with the over in that one because I saw the way the Lions Eagles played. I'm like, oh, look, this is going to be 50 points plus. That first half scared the crap out of me, and then all of a sudden Carson Wentz became it was what 20-0 or it's like some weird number.
I think it was like 15.
It was like 20. Yeah, it was 15 or 22 or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then Carson Wentz puts the cape on and just starts airing it out, which is great because I streamed him this week. Not great overall because my fantasy team is hot garbage. But but yeah, we'll see. We're gonna have to blow it up this year, start working on next year's campaign.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to say,
might start tonight.
Just a quick fantasy minute here. Is there anyone that you're kind of? I know that you went for like the Taysom Hill pickup and everything like that. Is there anything that you're already focusing on fantasy wise? Have you looked into it yet? I mean, I don't think that there were any major injuries other than the Trey Lance injury, which we got our boy Mendez on the podcast who does the picks as well. That's his starting quarterback. He'll have to be looking for somebody else. I don't think any other major injuries came up that are going to be interesting. Is there anyone that you're looking into, or obviously from your bench that you're going to go forward with that you'll be happy about?
James Conner got hurt today, which kind of stinks. Is my keeper. And I might as well have taken my second round pick and lit it on fire with Zeke Elliott. So we'll leave it at that.
Hey,
I don't know how you would light a pick on fire, but I might as well have. I metaphorically did it and literally set it on fire.
We can find a way. We'll figure something out for you to be able to do that. But hey, it's better than
traps in a defense.
I got Drake London sitting on my bench doing wonders for the Falcons right now, and I'm never gonna have the balls to be able to put him in my lineup. I don't think. I don't know.
He was a later round pick though. It was at least like the 8th round, right?
Yeah, but the whole thing with the Falcons is they don't have any other wide receivers. Obviously, you got Cordero Patterson. That's one of their big weapons. Then you got Kyle Pitts that everybody loves, but they don't have any other real wide receivers. That Zacchaeus guy, I don't know who else that they have. So he just gets a ton of touches or catches because of that. So I don't know if I can ever trust the Falcons offense, though, with Marcus Mariota being the one behind the helm. I'd rather be in your position with Patterson. Obviously, he does a little bit of everything. So I don't know.
Maybe we'll finagle a trade. Maybe a little trade.
Oh, all right. That's what we're going to look into. We'll see how it goes. I'm also just running into absolute juggernauts every week. I play against the best quarterback. I played against Lamar Jackson this week. Last week it was Patrick Mahomes, who went absolutely nuts. So we'll see how things go with the fantasy side of things. But that's going to do it for today's episode. Just want to say thank you to Matt for coming on once again, doing the nice Sunday wrap up of the games. We'll be back again on Wednesday to keep breaking down this Patriots game and the rest of the stuff going on in the sports world. Thank you again, Matt, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Most definitely.